It's the preseason finale tonight for the Houston Texans. You're getting a live look at players warming up for tonight's matchup with the San Francisco 49ers here at NRG Stadium. According to head coach Lovie Smith, tonight's game will feature more playing time from starters, an NFL debut for one rookie, and a new kicker. We're breaking down the top storylines plus an exclusive one-on-one with quarterback Kyle Allen. Texans Unlimited, presented by Verizon, starts now.
Welcome to our coverage of Houston Texans football.
You already know what time it is, man. Where would you rather be right now, man?
Let's go, Texans! Let's go!
Welcome into Texans Unlimited Live, presented by Verizon. It's the preseason finale, the final dress rehearsal for this Houston Texans team, just ahead of roster cuts.
Yes.
Drew on Tuesday. 80 to 53 players. That's happening in 5 days. So players trying to get as much good film, try to get their best plays out on the field right now for one final look by Lovie Smith and the coaching staff to see how this roster shapes up. But we've got a lot of storylines to get to tonight.
We sure do. This is a massive, massive night for a lot of guys down on that field. I know the preseason gets banged on by fans, understand, but there are a lot of livelihoods, a lot of professions that are going to get changed for the better, for the worse, after tonight's game based on a lot of what we see this evening. So a lot is riding on this. I'm excited about it. I know you are too. And we can't wait to hear from you a little bit later on in the show. Right, DB?
Yeah, send in your questions. We'll get to them in a little bit. But, we were talking about what to be excited about last week. We saw Derrick Stingley make his NFL debut tonight. Kenyon Green, the other first-round pick for the Houston Texans, will be playing tonight. We'll be starting. We'll see him a little bit later. The Texans also signed a new kicker in Matt Amendola. Kicker Kaimi Fairbairn has a minor issue. He's going to miss tonight's game. Should not be an issue. He should be back for the regular season. Nothing to worry about. But there is a new kicker on the field tonight, so you get to see him tonight.
Yes, Matt Amendola, 2 M's in his name, so he's not related to Danny Amendola, the former Texans wide receiver and former Patriot. But, yeah, there are a lot of different things going on. I'm pumped about the 15th overall pick, like you said. Kenyon Green getting out there tonight and getting some action.
We talk about it every single week. Tonight might be the night, but let's get into some of your quick hits presented by BMW. The Texans' defensive line in the last 2 weeks has produced 9 sacks, and that's without some starters playing. Head coach Lovie Smith said he's been pleased with the depth and the productivity so far of his D-line group.
And we've known that we had good depth, but you can never have too many good defensive linemen. And it's always most times it's gonna come down to them too. Finishing, being able to rush. Their best rushes at the end of the game. Both of our games, we've gotten that. This week, some of the guys that haven't played as much, Malik Collins will play this week. Jerry Holmes will, so anxious to see those guys play too.
Wide receiver Philip Dorsett caught a team-tying high of 48 yards receiving last week against the Rams. He says we've only seen a sliver of this offense so far. And under offensive coordinator Pep Hamilton, there's a lot more to get excited about.
I would say the way that he's going to utilize his playmakers. Obviously, offensive football is about getting your playmakers the ball, and I think that he's really great at that. And once we start opening up, I think people are starting to see it. But obviously, right now it's preseason football. We're trying to win every game, but still not trying to show everything. So things will get better.
Backup quarterback Kyle Allen entered the game in the second half last week for Davis Mills. He's entering year 4. He says his role once the season starts will be to help Mills with his preparation.
At this time of the year, it's kind of tough, but once we get into the season and once we really start game planning for teams, I think that's where I can really help him and we can really help everyone in that room. It's just helping him feel the most prepared for games. I remember when I was playing, I had Alex Smith as my backup in Washington when he was recovering from his leg injury, and he always made me feel incredibly prepared for games. He always was there helping me, making sure every look was covered over, and he'd been through it, so hopefully that I can kind of help Davis with that and make sure he feels fully prepared for the games.
And we're going to hear from Kyle Allen a little bit later. I went one-on-one with him after practice one day this week. But first, let's get into your fan questions presented by Daikin. Send those questions in. Drew Doherty and I will do our very best to answer whatever whatever questions we can answer, and if we can't, we'll just guess. I'm just kidding. We'll answer them to the best of our knowledge. And let us know where you're watching from. We love to give people shout-outs.
Oh, yeah. As we see Desmond King pulling in a punt there. Desmond, of course, one of the inside corners. Very versatile guy, could play outside as well. And the guy we just heard from, or will hear from later in the game on the ground, is Marlon Mack, number 2 right there, running back for the Texans. Talked with him earlier in the week. Return of the Mack always comes up whenever you tweet about him because fantasy football players love to talk about Mack.
Yeah, and we see in the background Derrick Stingley walking around there. He made his debut, like we mentioned earlier. Can't wait to see what he's able to do tonight, how much more he's able to play. Let's get you some of your questions. Adam wants to know, which veteran on the D-line are we most excited to see tonight? I'll tell you what, Adam, I'm excited to see Jerry Hughes because we've seen him throughout the years. He started with the Colts, then he went to the Bills. We've seen him in practice, and he just is very vocal both on the field and on the sidelines. I feel like he's really trying to coach up the younger D-line guys. He's had so much experience in the league. He hasn't played the first 2 weeks, and he's been healthy. So really it's just been a veteran sit while they watch some of the other guys play. But he'll get some action tonight. How much? We don't know, but he was team captain in the first 2 preseason games for what it's worth. I mean, that just shows you what they really think about him and his leadership on the field. But I'm excited to see what Jerry Hughes does in the mix. Like I said, the D-line group has put up some sacks the last few weeks.
I'll see your Jerry Hughes, and I'll counter with the engine, Malik Collins. Now, we got to put an asterisk on all this because we think these guys are going to play, but they might not, because we've heard some reports that other guys who were expected to shoot up are not. But if Malik Collins goes tonight, can't wait to see what he does, because he's there in the middle of that defensive line, means a whole heck of a lot to Lovie Smith's defense and everything Lovie wants to do. Lovie calls this guy, Malik, the engine of what the Texans are trying to accomplish, and he's a vital, vital part, because if he can soak up a couple blockers, it frees things up for everybody around him. And if he doesn't, if he goes one-on-one, a lot of times last year we saw him win those one-on-one battles and do some damage. So he says he's better in year 2 than he was in year 1 in this system. And we'll soon find out if that's the case once the regular season gets going.
Yeah, before he signed with the Texans last year, he was in Las Vegas. He had dealt with injuries throughout the years, and I think him having familiarity in this defense really helped him last year. And if the D-line is the engine of the defense, he is the piston that drives the defense, according to Jacques Césaire, who's the D-line coach. And if you talk to Roy Lopez, he has such high praise for Malik Collins. They worked out in the offseason, the entire D-line group as a whole. And he says that's the best 3 technique in the league. He loves learning from him. So take that for what it's worth. Yeah, high praise from Malik Collins. All right, Jordan's got a great question. Aside from staying healthy, what's the biggest goal for tonight? Jordan, I think you nailed it. I think staying healthy is obviously the biggest goal. We've seen far too many injuries in the preseason in the past. So getting out of this game injury-free or relatively injury-free is healthy. But aside from that, I think a lot of the position groups where there's a lot of competition, there's a tight competition, it'd be nice to see players really separate themselves. I think one of the groups I'm thinking about is the running backs group. We didn't see Dameon Pierce play last week. Will he play tonight? I don't know. I imagine you'd want to see a little bit from the rookie before September 11th rolls around. But how does the rest of that running backs group shape up? Because you can't keep all those guys on the roster. Plus, you got some fullbacks, too. So I think position groups, to really define what that roster is going to look like, I think that's the other goal, is you want to be very clear-cut about who you need to cut and who you need to keep on this team.
Yeah, Daria Gumbuwale is a running back. That's number 33. He's dancing right there. You talk about guys separate themselves. I think in a perfect world, the coaches want to see guys make it really, really, really tough on them to...
I love this dancing.
It is good dancing. Make it really, really tough to differentiate. Play so well that it's going to be a tough cut. But Gumbuwale, by the way, I interviewed him a couple weeks ago. I said, who's the most famous non-NFL person you ever met? He kind of looked at me like I was a weirdo. He's like, my sister. Because his sister, Arike Ogumbuwale, won a national title, hit the game-winning shot in both the semifinal and the national title game at Notre Dame. And then in 2020, she was the WNBA scoring leader, so she's a heck of a basketball player for the WNBA squad up in Dallas. But he was your best running back last week in Los Angeles. He got 4.5 yards a carry. He moved north and south and did a really good job of it. I like what I saw from him. We didn't, like you say, see Pierce, and I'm sure we're going to get Dameon Pierce questions from someone out there tonight.
Of course.
And understandably so. In training camp, nobody's been this excited about a new running back in a long, long time. Arian Foster, when he was a rookie, nobody had really heard of him. Arian Foster, his second year, everyone was ready to see Steve Slayton bounce back in 2010, and the rookie that year, second rounder, Ben Tate, take off. Arian Foster, to the public, was not an afterthought, but was just somebody who had a nice couple games. There was not this high level of excitement that there is now then for Pierce.
Yeah, I mean, 5 carries, 49 yards. You saw just a snapshot of him in the second quarter in that first preseason game. So it left you really hungry for more.
He decleated a guy when in pass protection.
Yeah.
And then when a ball was thrown his way, it was high, and it got picked off. He popped up off the ground, weaved through traffic, threw a blocker out of bounds, and then made the actual tackle and prevented a pick 6 from happening. So everything he did was excellent that night. It was a lot of fun, and understandably so. People are pumped about Dameon Pierce, and I'm with you, people. I'm pumped too.
He's pumped too. All right, Alex wants to know, will we see Mario Addison and Jerry Hughes tonight? Jerry Hughes, Lovie Smith said that we will see him. Mario Addison's interesting. He's another veteran on the team. He's got like 12 or 13 years of experience.
Yeah.
I don't know. Between the two of them, they've got like 25 years of playing experience. But Mario Addison was not practicing for a while in camp there. So I want to say maybe that's why he didn't play in the first 2 preseason games. He was back at practice this week, but I feel like with the way Lovie Smith likes to treat guys that are coming off injuries, he's pretty conservative. Like Derrick Stingley, we saw him pretty much full go in camp, but it took him until last week to get him into game action. So I think that, if there's any worry or doubt in his mind, we might not see Mario Addison. I think he was practicing well, but they may want to wait on him. So I don't know. I'm 50-50 on Mario Addison. I think we will see Jerry Hughes, though. For how long? I don't know. But it seems like the starters are going to get more time than they've gotten in the past few weeks. Like, this is a true third preseason game, like when we used to have 4 preseason games.
Yeah, you're right on in that analysis. Do we see him? Don't we? Maybe. Either way. I don't know. But I think ultimately it's like you're saying, Lovie Smith wants these guys ready for September 11th when they play the Colts here in the regular season opener. But, yeah, it would be fun to see Mario Addison. He led a really great Bills defense last year in sacks with 7. So let's see what he does with this unit, with the Texans, and how he can kind of play off of some of the talent that's here on this line and help the other talent on the line.
All right, Mac wants to know, how long will Stingley play? Derrick Stingley last week played 2 series. He had a nice pass defense towards the end of his time, and then he came out of the game. So my guess is that he's going to play a little bit more than he played last week. Maybe will he play a half? I don't really know, because I think as long as the starters are in there, he might stay in there a little bit longer. I think they want to get him some real live game reps since he didn't really see any in the first 2 games. And he hadn't played a game since September of last year. So I don't know, Drew, what do you think? A half?
It's like it kind of goes back to that last question. A quarter,
not?
a half, maybe. But we're up here in this 500 section, and you look up to our right. There are a couple of Stingley jerseys, and we saw Stingley jerseys in L.A. last week. So I bet he plays more than last week. I don't know if it's going to be a whole quarter or a whole half, but, yeah, you're going to see more Derrick Stingley Jr. for sure this evening.
You might see more Kyle Allen as well. He played a little bit less than a half last week. The quarterback completed 9 of 12 passes for 71 yards and a touchdown last week to Tegan Quatoriano, the rookie tight end. He had a 117 passer rating. I had a chance to catch up with Kyle Allen a little bit earlier this week. The Deep Slant 101 presented by Xfinity. Joining me today, quarterback Kyle Allen. First of all, Kyle, welcome back to Houston. What's it been like for you playing back here again?
It's been great. It's been enjoyable. It's been fun to kind of come back and know the city a little bit, kind of hit my old restaurants, some old spots, see some old people, and feel comfortable. Get back used to the heat too as well. It's been a little bit of a process, but it's been good.
I'm sure you missed the heat. Anything else you missed about Houston and Texas in general?
Oh, I love Texas. I think the food's great. The people in Texas are great. I've always had, I spent 4 years here before coming here, so Texas has always been awesome to me.
All right, so you got some time in the preseason. What was that like for you to get out there, get some reps under your belt, throw a touchdown on that drive, knocking off the rust? How different is it to play in the preseason versus just being out here at camp every day?
Oh, it's great. I've been itching to play in the preseason, and I was bummed to miss that first game. So that whole week I was kind of itching and ready to go. So it was really nice to get out there and have some success out there. It was good to get Teagan that touchdown, and just good to see the offense kind of move with all 3 guys in there too.
How challenging is it to go out there in the preseason and play? You've got all different receivers. You've got a different defense that you're looking at every single time. What are the challenges for a quarterback in particular to build that chemistry with all these different receivers?
Yeah, I think it's a lot different than playing in the regular season. I think you kind of just got to really lock in and focus in on the fundamentals, and the game plan's smaller because of that, and so hopefully you're doing stuff that everyone knows, and the defenses are a little bit more basic, so you're not reading as much stuff. So it's really just about executing and doing the little things right. And I think as you get older, and I'm trying to tell the young guys this too, just go out there and execute and do your job, and you're going to be fine.
I heard Philip Dorsett saying that we've only seen a little bit of this offense. They haven't really opened up the playbook yet in the preseason, but you've obviously seen the offense here with Pep Hamilton. What excites you the most about it once it does fully open?
I think there's a lot of good things. I don't want to give too much away or give anything away, but I think there's going to be a lot of good things, and I'm excited to be able to open it up. It is tough in the preseason, not showing everything and not doing everything that we come out here in practice, so I'm excited for week 1.
What's your familiarity with this sort of offense and this scheme? You know, coming here, it's obviously year 4 for you. You're not young in the league, but you're not old by any means. I mean, what was the adjustment period like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it is different. I spent 4 years in North Turner West Coast system, you know, with Scott Turner, his son, too. So a lot of it, my time has been that, and this offense is a lot different than that. And so there was a little bit of adjustment period over the summer. I think probably after a month I started to feel more and more comfortable. And now being out here for a whole training camp, I feel really good about it. And it's been good. I've found success in it. I feel like I'm understanding it, and I like it a lot.
What's the quarterback's room like with Davis and yourself and Jeff Driscoll?
It's good. It's good. It's a fun room. I like the room.
No pressure to grow a mustache from Davis. I mean, you got the beard
If I
going.
shaved, I could get it, but I mean, it's not great. He has a good mustache. We made him shave it though.
He shaved it.
He did shave it.
It was a big hit with everybody. All right, for you personally, I mean, I'm interviewing you, but you've got a podcast of your own. So tell me a little bit about this podcast that you've got.
Yeah, that's a good call. Me and Jordan Palmer, I've trained with him since I was 16 out in California. He played in the league for a long time. You know, we go out, there's a group of quarterbacks out in California that work together in the off season, and tons of high school and college kids kind of filter through there. And, you know, we're always talking about ball, talking about different things. And so we decided we wanted to maybe just put something together, and so we could talk ball and bring on different quarterbacks throughout the year who have good matchups coming up, different things coming up, and exciting things, and just kind of highlight those things. And so, yeah, I'm just doing that on off days, and it's been fun. I mean, me and Jordan have always had a great relationship, so hoping to see where that goes.
I saw you interview Desmond, the rookie, so any other guests you can tell us about that you're really looking forward to putting out there?
I think we're maybe going to get Kenny Pickett on soon. We're going to get Josh Allen to come on week 1 before his game against the Rams, and then, you know, some of the other top college guys throughout the year and some other NFL guys, so we're excited.
What have you learned about interviewing through this podcasting process?
It's only been 1, so
okay.
I've learned to shut up, you know. I've learned to let the other person talk instead of talking too much, so I got to shut myself off sometimes.
Well, we're always happy to hear you talk, Kyle. Thanks so much for this.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Kyle Allen, quarterback and podcast host, and the name of his podcast is called The Room, which we did not mention in the one-on-one, but I'm mentioning it now because it's just out. He had Desmond Ridder, and they're going to have other quarterbacks like he mentioned. So he's learned a lot, both in this offense, both in podcasting, and just being with Pep Hamilton, and hopes to be a big help to Davis Mills throughout the season.
Interesting. And now he's stretching.
And now he is stretching. All right, let's get to our sleeper of the game presented by Mattress Firm. I'll go first. I'm going to pick a guy that we talked about earlier who's showing off his dance moves, Daria Gumbuwale, the running back. He averaged 4.7 yards per carry last week, and I think that this running backs group has really got a lot that they've got to prove tonight. And we saw him kicking extra points and field goals in practice. I don't know how that's going to figure out because the Texans signed Matt Amendola, and so I think they're going to let him get the majority of the kicking reps. But I don't know. I just feel like we're set up for a big game for Daria Gumbuwale. I could be totally wrong.
Yeah, Gumbuwale, I don't think we see him kick in a game unless Fairbairn / Amendola go down and Cam Johnston does not kick. If there's something riding on
a lot
it,
of things have to happen. Yeah.
Maybe, but he was a heck of a soccer player, Gumbuwale. He was a left winger. That was one of his first sports growing up. I love that pick as far as a sleeper. He's got a lot riding on tonight, and based on what he did last week, if he can continue that, things are looking good for Daria Gumbuwale. My sleeper is Thomas Booker IV. He wears number 56, and it still is not jarring, but it's still kind of odd because I'm used to Brian Cushing in that number, but Booker has played really, really well this preseason. He's done nice things in each of the first 2 games. He's caused pressure. He's gotten a sack. I mean, he's looked good, and he's somebody that's part of a really, really competitive position group on the defensive line, and he's doing everything in his powers to make this team, and I'd be surprised if he doesn't. So keep your eyes on Booker. I think he's going to have a nice night.
He needs to put out his leg workout for the masses because, I mean, look at, he just has these really tree-trunk-looking legs.
Muscular thighs.
Muscular thighs for a rookie, and I say that in the most respectful way possible. Sure. But Thomas Booker did some nice things so far in the preseason. That's a great pick, sleeper pick for you guys.
Thank you.
All right, well, we are going to wrap this show up. You can catch the game on Fox 26 if you're local in Houston. Otherwise, it's on Amazon Prime streaming, and I saw the Amazon Prime setup. It's very interesting. It's got Ryan Fitzpatrick and the crew down there. So
Ryan Fitzpatrick, funniest Houston Texan of all time. At least the ones I've been around since 2009. Funny guy.
Yeah, so Amazon Prime, and then, of course, you can catch it on Sports Radio 600.
That's right. Listen to Mark Vandermeer and Andre Ware and then John Harris down on the sideline.
And if you want to get tickets to a Texans game, HoustonTexans.com/tickets. Opening day, September 11th, at home against the Indianapolis Colts. You don't want to miss it. Check it out. But that's going to do it for Texans Unlimited Live, presented by Verizon. Thank you to everyone that worked on this show and to all of you watching. Have a great game day, and go Texans.